Every school has its stories. Those spooky tales people pass around, usually late at night or when the light starts to flicker during a thunderstorm. Some stories are silly, just something kids made up, but others, they stay with you. This story happened at the high school that I went to in Cambodia, Phnom Penh, which is the capital city. A busy place full of life, traffic, markets, and people always in a rush. But underneath all that, Cambodia has a dark history. Not long ago, our country went through something horrible, the Khmer Rouge. During that time, millions of people were killed. Schools become prisons, classrooms turn into execution sites, and even though it's been decades, some people believe the spirits of those who died are still around, still trapped. This story takes place in one of those schools, the same school that I studied in. Back when I was in high school, we had to take extra classes late in the evening. If you were in the 11th or grade 12, you had no choice. It was just a part of preparing for the national exams. By 6 or 7 p.m., the sun would be nearly gone, and the whole school would feel completely different. Quiet, empty, creepy even. Most of the younger students would have already gone home. Only the serious students and some who were forced by their parents stayed behind. I was one of them. That evening, our last class was biology. The room was dim, the ceiling fan creaking a little, and our teacher was talking something about cell structures. I don't remember the lesson, but I remember the sound. The running sound. While we were studying, suddenly, we all heard it. Heavy footsteps, fast, racing down the hallway. It sounded like a group of kids sprinting past our door. At first, we all kinda looked around, confused. Some people even smiled like it was a joke, but the teacher kept talking. She did not even flinch. It was weird. Usually she would go out and yell, "No running in the hallway," like she always did. Then it happened again, louder this time. The sound seemed to cycle the classroom, like they were running in loops. Everyone was frozen. I remember one of my classmates had their pen mid-air, not even writing, just listening. Our teacher finally said something. "Just ignore the sound," she said quietly. "We're almost done." But her voice was shaky, too calm. She was trying to pretend that she wasn't scared. When the class finally ended around 7, we started packing our bags fast. Everyone was ready to go. But then our teacher said something that made us stop. "Wait until everyone is ready. Walk out together. Do not go alone." That's not something teachers usually say. No one asked why. We just nodded. Maybe we were just tired, or maybe we all felt that something was off. The hallway was dark. The janitor had already turned off most of the lights. There were only a few ceiling lamps still on, flickering slightly. Every classroom door was closed and locked, except ours. Our teacher had the master key. She stepped outside and locked it behind us. The floor creaked with every step. The school felt like a different place at night, the kind of place that you don't want to be in. As we walked toward the stairwell, one of our friends decided to break the tension. He tiptoed behind one of the girls and suddenly screamed. She let out a mini scream herself, and everyone jumped. Some people laughed, others told him to stop. But that moment made everyone relax just a little. We were finally starting to feel like ourselves again. Some people even joked that it's just a ghost of a kid who felt mad. While we were walking down the second floor hallway, someone brought up the sound again. "Who do you think that was?" he asked. "Those footsteps earlier." Before anyone could answer, the teacher quickly said, "Probably some younger kids waiting for their parents." Her voice was sharp, too fast. Like she didn't want us to keep talking about it. And then it happened. A scream. A real one. One of the girls dropped to the floor. She screamed and started crying very hard. No one moved. We just stared. Then the teacher ran to her. "Give her space," she said. "Let her breathe." We stood back, still frozen. Some people were looking at the end of the hallway like something might be there, but there was nothing. The girl was shaking. She couldn't speak, just cried and held her hand close to her body like she was freezing. After a while, she calmed down, enough to stand. The teacher looked at her and said, "Don't talk. Just walk in the middle. Keep your eyes on the floor." We didn't ask questions. We just followed her instruction. We walked quietly, closely together, like a herd of scared animals. No one dared to look back. We made it to the security office by the school gate. The girl sat down. The guard gave her water, and a few minutes later she told us. She said, when she was walking behind the group, she saw one of the classroom doors remained open. It was pitch black inside. Then she could still see. There was a student sitting at a desk. As she was walking closer towards the door, she realized he didn't have a head. He was writing very slowly like he was taking notes. But then suddenly his body turned to face her. No head, just turned. That's when she screamed. After she told us, the room went silent. No one said anything. Everyone just looked at the teacher. Then the security guard signed. The teacher said, "We need to make an offering. They're hungry again." That sentence hit harder than anything else. We walked to the nearby market, bought bananas, oranges, and insects, and came back to school that night. The guard told us to stay in the office and he would go alone. While we waited, our teacher told us everything. During the Khmer Rouge, students were hiding in the school. Soldiers came in, and some students were dragged out. Others tried to run in the hallway. A few were shot on the stairs, right where we walked. The building that the girl saw the ghost in, it was built on a mass grave. They say those students are still here. They are stuck in a loop. Some were studying, some were running from the soldiers, some were dying. Again and again. The guard came back later. He said the offering was done, and we all went home after that. No one really talked about that night. We came to school like nothing happened. But that hallway, I never walked down it alone again. Sometimes, when I think about it, I always wonder, what if that person was not trying to scare us? What if he was just trying to study? He didn't know that he was dead. And that's the first story that me and my friends encountered firsthand in our old high school. There are other stories and rumors that we heard from some of our friends in other rooms as well. And that leads us to the second story. The second story didn't happen to me directly. It happened to another class. But the way the story spread across the school, especially after what we went through with the running sounds, it stuck with me. It was just too real, too close. After that night with the running incident, we all got kind of obsessed. We wanted to know more about anything that had ever happened before. And that's when someone brought up the story of the Headless Assembly. It turns out it wasn't new. It had been a rumor for years, but we had never really paid attention to it until now. It's an urban legend, sure, but like all ghost stories in Cambodia, maybe there's some truth to it. One of our friends who asked around told us there was a rumor about a class who was told to organize the morning assembly in the school's main hall a long time ago. The class was 12B. That day, the students were busy organizing the chairs in the main hall. Others are setting up the microphone. The main hall was quiet, except for the sounds of metal scraping and light footsteps. The class president, Srai Pao, was in charge of arranging the chairs into straight rows. She was always serious about school duties. While checking the rows, Srai Pao saw something in her side view, a student standing on the stage. The girl stood perfectly still, facing the audience. Sraipa assumed she was part of the ceremony prep, maybe someone practicing a speech. It wasn't until a moment later that Sraipa realized something was off. Why was that person standing there so long and not moving at all? And why did no one else acknowledge her? Sraipa was about to tell the girl to come down and help when she looked up again, and her heart dropped. The girl on stage has no head, not slouched or bent, just cleanly missing a head. Her neck ended in an empty space, as if the head had never been there. Yet, her posture remained straight. Her arms hung by her side like she was just waiting. Sraipa ran, not screamed, not fainted, just dropped the chair list and ran. She told the teacher in charge, of course, but no one believed her. Because when they all looked at the stage, there was nothing. The stage was empty, the mic still untouched, and no one remembered seeing a girl on stage at all. It wasn't only until after that incident that someone mentioned where the hall was built. That stage, that room, it sat right on top of an old sport field. A field that, back during the Khmer Rouge, it was used as a mass burial site for students who were tortured and executed. That afternoon, the whole school was whispering. Some students said the ghost was reenacting the last moment before she died, and that is, she was ordered to stand still in front of others while being executed. Others claimed she had been a student made to read names of her classmates before they were taken. Of course, it was just all rumors, but it made the whole school feel so eerie. A few days later, some students reportedly talking about their dreams. Not just one or two, multiple students from different classes. They all dreamt of a hall filled with headless students, standing in lines, all facing forward as if they're waiting for the national anthem to play. No sound, no movement, just silence. Others had worse dreams. They saw heads, dozens of heads on top of each other, high like coconuts in the back of their classroom. Some said the heads looked around and smiled at them. Others said the eyes followed them. One girl said she heard whispering coming from the heads as well, but she couldn't remember the words in her dream. Students stopped staying late. Teachers began skipping morning meetings. The school felt wrong, like it was holding its breath. Even the security guards admitted they didn't like walking past the hallway alone anymore. Eventually, the principal called for a meeting. They brought in monk. That same week, a shrine was built behind the hall, near the old mango tree, to honor the student who never left. They say offerings are made regularly now. Incense, lotus flowers, rice, snacks. Even now, students report weird things, such as chairs moved by themselves, speakers crackle with static. Sometimes the mic turns on by itself, but nothing major, nothing aggressive, just reminders. When Sraipa graduated, someone asked her again what she saw. She only said she looked like she wanted to speak, but she can't because she had no mouth. That sentence still gives me chills. We started wondering, what if all these ghosts are connected? What if they only appear only to those who are alone or those who carry too much stress? What if we're not the only school with ghosts like this? The shrine is still there. If you visit the school now, you can see it. Students leave offerings every exam season, but the assembly, it still happens, like always. But sometimes, people say they see an extra figure on stage or among the crowd, just standing there, waiting, without a head.